name is Lori Bumbaco. I'm a registered dietitian, and I'm also board certified as a specialist in oncology nutrition. Thank you all so much for watching. We are in our 6th and final week of this video series, Talking Nutrition with Lori. I want to give a special thank you to the Judy Nicholson Kidney Cancer Foundation for this opportunity. So if you haven't attended the previous weeks, check out the YouTube channel. We've recorded all of those for you to enjoy, take some good notes, and maybe share some of your feedback for anything that you might have tried for yourself and learned a little bit more about the value of nutrition. So in our final week, I saved one of my favorite questions that patients who are diagnosed ask me. And I get asked this question quite often when I'm in the clinic, and also too in my private practice, and here at the Cancer Wellness Center, where I am presenting to you live in this amazing demo kitchen. And that's because I have all my wonderful props here. So I'd like to give you a little show and tell today in order to address a very common question that individuals ask me. They ask me, tell me, Lori, what are some foods that I can include in a cancer protective diet? What foods can I eat every single day, or as much as possible, so that I can maximize the cancer fighting properties of those foods in my day-to-day life? What a great question that is. And part of the reason why that's such a good question is that we know from research that our survivors, those individuals who have been diagnosed with cancer, they don't meet recommendations. They aren't eating enough whole grains, they aren't eating enough beans, and they're not eating enough green vegetables. So I especially work with individuals to add some more of those choices into their day-to-day life. And guess what? It's not as difficult as you might think. It shouldn't be a challenge for you. And that's my job, to work with individuals to find simple ways to infuse more nutrition into their diet. So let's review some of those examples for you. The first is, I would say, could you simply just add one more cancer fighting food? Just one more. Maybe it's one more to your day or one more to your week. And now maybe you're asking, what are those cancer fighting foods? Well, it's a whole group of foods that we call whole food plant-based choices. So that includes our whole grains, our legumes, which are beans and lentils, our veggies, our fruit, and even our nuts and seeds. Those possess what we call nutrient density. So what that means is per bite, we get a lot of nutrition, a lot of cancer fighters, but not a lot of calories. So we want to eat as many of those choices as we can as possible, right? So how can we do that? Well, let me give you a few examples. The first one's really easy. Look towards the season, right? So we're entering early fall, one of my favorite times of the year, especially because of the harvest. And one of my favorite fruit to enjoy as a snack, or even, as you guessed it, as a dessert, is pear. Pears are packed with fiber. They're an excellent source of fiber, and we know that this helps support natural detoxification processes. And this star crimson pear, special little variety of pear, is in season right now and tastes delicious. So you can learn how deliciously sweet, naturally sweet, and full of cancer fighters this little gem is. Okay, so look for these in your supermarket or at the farm stand. Great place to find some cancer fighters. The second tip is to just add one more to your meal. Okay, so when you sit down and look at your plate, maybe if you go out to a restaurant or order some takeout, or if you're preparing something at home, could you add more vegetables to your meal? So a really good example is when we go out to eat or order takeout, we can always get that side of fries, right? Or we could make a substitution, and you can get something like a seasonal vegetable as your side. The next example is to try something new. So to try a spice or an herb that maybe you haven't had in a while or you've never tried before. So one of my classic examples is good old turmeric. Voila. So that beautiful burnt orange color is from curcumin, and curcumin possesses really potent probably one of the most potent anti-inflammatory properties that we know of. So adding a little shake of this to your soups or your stews or even on top of your eggs, it's a great way to add cancer protection. I also walked out into our garden here and I found some fresh basil, and this is sweet basil. There's tons of varieties of basil, but this is just another example of adding some cancer protection with flavor. Okay, so sometimes we forget about our herbs and spices, but adding one more of these to your day will maximize the cancer protection in your diet. The last example I have in this group is to think about your week. So ask yourself, do a little self-inventory. Do you have a vegetarian meal during the week? Just one? If you do, could you have two? You're adding one more, right? Or if you don't have any, could you just try one? And there's a great campaign called Meatless Monday. It's one of my favorites. Check out their website. They have a ton of different resources, but also a ton of different recipes to really inspire you to try a plant-based meal. And it could be something like a recreation of a classic comfort dish or a traditional dish that you might not have ever tried before. The next tip, I have a few under this category as well, is to make a substitution. Sometimes that's one of the easiest ways to make a change to your diet, is to take what you're doing and just substitute something else for it. But that substitution is going to be a serious nutrition upgrade. So for example, if you're someone who, like my family has done, enjoys something like white rice or white pasta on the side of their dinner, could you make a substitution for a whole grain? So something like quinoa or brown rice, or another interesting grain like freaky. Wait till you try freaky, it's really good. It's roasted wheat, it's really good. So there even are some convenient frozen products that are already cooked. So this quinoa, brown rice, and red rice, as well as barley, it's already cooked. So all we have to do is reheat this. It could not be easier. But this substitution for white rice, it will be delicious and certainly more nutrient dense. A great idea. The next suggestion is for those of you like me who occasionally like to snack on crackers or chips. Could you make a substitution with a whole grain? Get this one. Have your pen and paper ready for this, all right? So this is one of my favorite ways to take advantage of a whole grain and a convenient way to make it delicious but add nutrition to your diet. So all you need is a brown paper lunch bag and some popcorn kernels. Did you know that popcorn kernels are a whole grain? They're very high in fiber. So all I do is I take a quarter cup of my kernels and I add it to my brown paper lunch bag. And I fold this bag over a couple times. And the other thing you need is a microwave. So I'm gonna pop this in the microwave for about 1.5 minutes or until it stops popping. Take this out and you have air popped popcorn. And I promise you, you do not even need to add any melted butter, and maybe you don't even need to add salt to this. It's delicious. If you want to increase the cancer protection, you could shake on a little turmeric. And that's going to give it some flavor, but also cancer protection. Super easy way to add a whole grain to your diet. So give that one a try. The other example I have, I bring this one up a lot. So a lot of us have a habit of eating yogurt, but the yogurt we eat in the United States, it's very sweet. In fact, we find it has maybe 4 or 5 teaspoons of added sugar. That's insane, right? So we could do better, and I'm fully confident you could do better. So I almost always have a tub of plain Greek yogurt in my fridge because it's such a versatile ingredient. And what I'll do for breakfast sometimes, or as a snack, is I'll scoop out some of this yogurt and then I'll slice in some of my seasonal fresh fruit, or you can find some frozen fruit as well. You'll appreciate how naturally sweet that is. If you want a little extra flavor and cancer protection, you could add some cinnamon right on top as well. If you want a little crunch, you can add some pecans or walnuts or almonds. It's delicious and a great way to start your day. The last tip I have in this category is to think about your comfort dishes. You know, like we're entering football season. So maybe you're someone who likes to make chili or likes to make wings for the game. you can do better. I believe you can do better. So you can try something like a vegetarian chili based off beans, or you can make some cauliflower wings. Delicious. And yet you're going to pack your diet with cancer fighters. The last group I have to suggest for you is to think about your meals and how you could infuse some more of these cancer fighters into your meal. So for example, are you someone like me who likes your eggs? Do you eat eggs on a regular basis? Maybe you make some omelets here and there. Could you add some vegetables to that omelet and make a veggie omelet? Yes. And what you'll do is get cancer fighters. Another great example is your oats. So another example for breakfast. If you like your oats in the morning, here's an idea for you. And this might be a little thinking outside the box, but I want you to try it. So take your oats and then take some classic fall flavors. So in these little jars here, in these little cans, I have some pumpkin puree. It's not sweetened. And I also have some butternut squash puree. These are full of carotenoids, full of cancer fighters. So take a spoonful or two of either one or maybe even both and swirl that into your oats. Again, if you want some flavor, you can add some more cinnamon. Voila. You have a savory but fall-inspired oatmeal. And I promise you, you're going to find it delicious. Another example is to use some vegetables, such as shredded veggies, so chopped or diced carrots or zucchini, and add that to some of your meat dishes. So if you make a turkey meatball or if you make turkey burgers, could you add some of those shredded veggies right inside? It's like you're tucking them right in, and you get these cancer fighters. Another example that I do at home is I use some of the broccoli slaw or even cabbage and just shred that and put that on top of my tacos. It's another way to just add a little bit more, but significant cancer protection. And the last example I have, I know I gave you a ton already, but the last example, I almost always in my fridge, besides my plain Greek yogurt, I almost always have a big old container. I swear to you, this will last like a few days. These are some baby greens. This happens to be baby arugula, but you can choose whatever baby green you want. These are actually so versatile, so they're great to have as a salad, right? But I literally will take handfuls and add them to dishes. So I could put these into my egg omelet in the morning, or if I'm making a soup or a stew, bam, another handful or two right inside, and as it's finishing, I've infused more cancer fighters. It's a super simple way to add that extra protection that I promise you will make a significant difference to your diet. Okay, so there you have it. I've given you a handful of ideas. Hopefully you found one of them helpful. If you try them, maybe you tried more than one of them, you have to let me know. I'd love to know how it goes for you as you try to add more cancer protection into your diet. Now, I don't want the fun to end here. I have a lot of other ideas and tips to share. So if you agree, please let me know what your questions are. I'd love to try to answer them, and I'd love to try to keep this conversation going. And maybe if you agree, I can do a regular video to address some of your questions. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you learned a little something along the way, and please let me know how I can help. Keep thinking of different ways that you can infuse cancer protectors into your diet. When you choose foods that are whole plant-based choices, you're going to optimize the cancer protective qualities of your diet. Thank you.